Cool, guys. Welcome to our Springbok press conference. We've got Jock, Bongi and Rossi on top table today. Can I just ask that before you ask a question, just raise your hand so we can just get a nice balance of everybody getting their questions in, and then if we can save the Afrikaans and Vernac for toward the end, that would be awesome. So yeah, without further ado. Okay, questions?
Jacques or Russ, how's the team looking from the squad looking from an injury recovery perspective?
Yeah, I can give the injury update because I spoke to Jock this morning. I think the only real concern will be touch and go to play a rugby championship game, and then I'm not including the Argentina test match. Is Andre. Eben's results really looked good yesterday. He's testing. Same with Jaden. I think he'll take part in the with the other injured. Damien Willems is all ready to go. Do you want to miss? No, that's the basic 3-4. There was questions about it. So Andre is a bit of a worry if he will be able to play in the rugby championships.
Why is this a bit of a worry? What's the extent of his injury?
It's a calf injury which he re-injured, which he had when he was playing for Leicester. So re-injury, we're always a little bit more nervous. That's the reason why we have Elton here, so that Andre can fully recover and we don't push him too early and give a date for him. Is more or less the same in Sia now. We're looking at either that Argentina or that Wales or that New Zealand test match, which is not part of the rugby championship. You tend to, when you only have 2 flyers here, you tend to put pressure on the guy to be ready then. This helps us at training especially, not for guys like Faf to sort on a 10 and those kind of things. It helps a lot. But also Damien Willems is fit now.
Jacques, have you guys sort of got an idea of the group you'll be sending to New Zealand, and do you know when you'll be announcing that group?
Yeah, I think we definitely in our heads we've got a pretty good idea, and obviously the players will have a pretty good idea, but there's still changes. I mean, like now Damien last week, this time we weren't sure if he'll be ready or not, and like Rassi said, now he is, so that changes in terms of strategies that you will do. But I think we will probably only announce that with a team announcement next week, because we would probably not like the people to know who's going where, when. Yeah.
So you're only sending them late next week, or will it be early in the week?
Yeah, the balance will probably be for us to it's nice to have this big squad because you can actually go 15v15, so probably the balance will be to send them as early as possible or as late as possible, so that the team that will play against Australia will have a proper test preparation week, but also sending them early enough so that they can get the benefit of time getting over jet lag.
Just to qualify that we booked make sure that we booked enough spaces on the Tuesday and the Wednesday to make sure that the Australian team is not underdone in terms of opposition. So if we are happy by Tuesday, they'll probably fly as soon as possible, so either be Tuesday or Wednesday.
Jacques or Rossi, just with your thoughts on Eddie's team and the fact that he seems to try and bring the heaviest pack to South Africa for a change?
Yes, look, to be honest, I think Eddie will probably do so. If what I read in the papers, and obviously I'm not 100% sure what's going on in their camp, but if you look at he's got 2 squads and different names. So the one that he says is going to go to the rugby championship or coming to us, and then there's other group staying behind. He gave them another name. So I think everybody is focusing on the rugby championship because you want to go into the World Cup with momentum. But I also think there's a long-term thought process going on in everybody's heads in terms of preparing for the World Cup. I think it's similar with Eddie, So in terms of, and I think what we said last week is that it will be tough for us to kind of prepare for what Australia will bring, because we're not sure will it be Eddie more England mindset, or will it be a Dave Rennie mindset? Some of the Brumby players only came in a little bit later, so you're not 100% sure. So I think the key thing for us is just to focus, Brendan, on ourselves and to make sure that we get our stuff right, because we will guess if we know what they're going to bring from their side.
Jacques, obviously with Andre now out, how close are you to finding your sort of captain or captains for the Rugby Championship for the different test matches?
Yeah, no, I think like we said previously, Sia stays our captain for the World Cup until he's ruled out, and we will have interim captains that we will select in the build-up towards that until until he is ready to take over as captain.
Which is why like next week, Monday,
Yeah.
Tuesday, when we announce the team, we would like, obviously the team now already with the captain is for the first game, and then if we announce that, everybody will know what the team looks like next week. So the players know, and just don't want to speculate this week in the newspaper, and that becomes the big story, where Australia is actually the big story. So, not story, interest. So yeah, we will announce that. We've been training like that, and then for the game or the next one in New Zealand, there will probably be other captain as well. So it's not to be funny or anything, it's just a team announcement. We'll announce that together.
Yeah.
Coach Rassim, I've got two questions that I can split between you and John. The first question is, who on the management team is going over to New Zealand with that initial squad? And then the second question, that's now slipped my mind, sorry, just please answer the first question. Who's going to go with the team over? And then the second question is back to the number 10. Andre is a very particular type of player that gives you a very physical and very controlled approach, where maybe Marnie and Damien are a little bit more fluent in their play and a bit more attacking. Has that changed your approach now that you know he's not going to be involved in the first two games? Does that change your approach in the back line?
Do you want
That's
to?
what Coach.
Yeah, but you want me to answer the
Yes,
management
please.
one? Yeah, we're not going to take the full management team, as we're not going to take all 41 players obviously to New Zealand. We are the first group of flying, as I say, Tuesday or Wednesday next week. And that will be, it depends, it might not even be 15, it might be 13, 12. It depends on which guys can handle playing here and there very well. Players are built differently and takes different loads in games. So even the team that flies the next Sunday will arrive there only the Tuesday, and that won't be all for the balance of the 41. It won't be all of them. It will probably be around 30, 28, depending on what we need to see. How did it go in the Australia Test match? Who did well? Who got injured? Because the whole team is not going, we can't take the whole management. Someone has to look after the players who stay behind. So there will be 4 of the management members, like spinning masseuses and stuff like that. Will stay behind, 4 management members.
And you're staying here and not going over with them? Is the core of the management group, the coaching staff, staying here?
No, all the coaches there's 3 coaches that fly over on Saturday night after the game to be ready with that team on that side from the Monday morning to start coaching them, and then the rest of the management team is flying with the players on the Sunday.
And you don't want to reveal those 3 coaches for us?
No, I don't want to talk about it.
In terms of, I think in terms of a let's call it a game plan or game strategy that we have at the box. We have a framework that we put out there, but I think if you ask any player, you must bring your own individuality into that. And so yes, Andre's got a certain individuality, or can I say a style that he brings to the game, but as does Marnie. Marnie can't be Andre can't be Marnie, Damien Willemse can't be Marnie, he can't be Andre. So everybody's got their own personality and their own style and their own skill set that makes them different. And the framework must, we believe that the framework must never be there to push you in a specific way or style. You must always bring your own characteristics out into our game plan. So, yeah.
Can I go? Thank you, Bongi. I want to ask you a question. How different is it preparing as a player this year as opposed to 4 years ago?
Obviously, 4 years ago, it was already a totally different story. We were all new, a bunch of new players coming together with obviously a new coaching staff and new plans. So it did take us longer than usual to prepare and to be aligned. But obviously, since then, I must say, we're sort of finding our rhythm quicker, sort of aligning quicker, because we've known each other for 4 years now or longer. And we sort of know what the coaches expect from us, and also what they expect from the coaches, and also as players what they expect from each other. We definitely are working harder, because we can't do what we did 4 years ago, because then you obviously full of the bus. But yeah, we definitely working harder. We putting things in place, making sure that first of all we are aligned. And obviously, lineman camps did help a lot. But obviously, having the whole group together, 40 players, 45 players together, and making sure that everyone is getting coached and everyone is aligning properly with the plan.
Okay.
Thanks, Ina. Jacques, just following up on the fly half question. Fly half being such a key position in terms of how you actually want to play. How much of a disruption is it in terms of World Cup planning that who most people would consider to be your number one fly half might only come into the scheme of things, 2 or 3 games before the World Cup? Does that set your planning back at all?
No, I don't think so. I think, like I say, I think the basic game model or game plan that you put out there is the basic one. And then the players will adapt and evolve and apply their skill set into that. Obviously, we must get used to the guy that's playing there. And I think it's probably similar with somebody important like Sia. It's probably the same disruption. I won't say it would be, if you say what's platinum prize, it will to have everybody fit and available in training, that would be in platinum prize. But obviously it's not there, it's not the case, and it is what it is. And you can either sit back and say, listen, we don't have this guy, or you just move on. And we're fortunate, if you think of the squad that we built over the last couple of years, that we've been together with this group. I mean, I think there's good depth and quality in the majority of all the positions. Yeah.
Rossi, obviously yesterday we heard SPRINGBOKS being parting ways with the balls and so on. Just a word on that and how, and your thoughts of a player who's been part of your group for such a long time and his future as well.
Yeah, no, looking at his age and while he played for us, we just hope as soon as possible we can see him somewhere in the field to rate his play and to make him a contender again and start comparing him like all other players in which league, wherever he plays. A player like that who's been with us, we don't care. Hopefully he stays in South Africa, that would be fantastic. If he plays abroad, the nice thing is if he plays in French top 14 or if he plays in Japan, we've worked with him. You can sort of judge how he's doing there. So I would never talk about a player's personal life, and also don't know the inside and outside of what's going on there. But we just hope as soon as possible we can see him somewhere to judge him or to rate him against the guys who's playing in the Springbok team, so we can consider him. That's best wishes for him, whatever is wrong or right, and when he's playing again.
There's been concern from his side about, obviously, his well-being in the last few months.
I'll tell you, there's a lot of, this squad is 41 and we've worked a lot since 2018. I'm not saying that you're like a father at all, but you get to know that there's a lot of people struggling with a lot of things. I'm not referring to Sabusa specifically now. And some is knowledge, some is not knowledge out there, and some are things that players are handling themselves, or some are we a little bit involved, and some is these other professional help players, and I think overall when we talk about players, we must talk about them as persons, and we mustn't always discuss their personal life out there to everyone. So again, I don't have insights to that, but I just want to get him back on the field, and I hope he's okay. And wherever we can assist, if there's something on field, off field, getting a contract, playing anywhere, if he comes to SA Rugby, we will certainly try and support where we can.
Jock, Eddie Johns revealed this week that he's going to use utility players playing flankers at wing and other way around. What is your view on that?
We don't.
Out of position.
To be honest, every coach has got his own style and things that he would like to do. So my comment on that, I don't know. Obviously he will do what he feels is the best for Australian rugby, and what I can't comment on what he feels is the best. So yeah. Don't know if Rusty's got anything.
No, it's just the wingers and centres they have are as big as flankers. Betty and those guys, so we didn't hear that. We haven't seen that, so it's news to us now. But Eddie thinks outside the box, and Eddie always plays one or two little mind games before a test match. I'm not sure if that's started it or if it's really something he'll do. And he's the kind of guy that has the guts to do stuff like that. And I think he got some rugby league guys in as well. I think Eddie's coaching staff, I looked the other day, it's a hell of a coaching staff with a lot of guys being involved. And I think, not that I'm there to judge that, I think because of his experience, he can probably pull a lot of people aligned in a very short space of time, because there's a lot of coaches there. And then the way he's bringing in league players, and as you said now, which we just heard, if he's considering that, I don't think he's a guy that's afraid of doing things like that. So it will be just one of Eddie's other challenges which we have to handle.
Thank you.
Jacques, still on the Australasian challenge, what did you make of Saturday's Super Rugby final? And the challenge that will come, because clearly from what we saw in the Crusaders Chiefs game, the Park of, they pretty much showed fair pictures of what may come from the All Blacks.
I think so. I think obviously I haven't looked at their squad yet, the New Zealand squad, but obviously I think the bulk will probably come out of the Crusaders between those two teams. Like you rightly say, obviously they played in the final, and yes, the Rolling Maul's back. They scored 2 great tries on the back of that, and also I think the one that got the Crusaders back into the mix when they were 10-8 down. Came from a Maul which the backline launched. So I think in terms of that, pretty much a tightly contested game.
Rassi, can you just tell us more about how you're feeling about the Under-20 Championship? I mean, it's the first time it's taking place in 4 years, and it's significant, especially in seeing the Under-20s actually take part, as they are an important step in terms of how the players are built up for future block representation.
Yeah, I was firstly say Bafana is working really closely with us. I know Jacques has went and helped a few times there, Dion and some of our other coaches. We get the weekly schedule on what Bafana is planning and how he's planning with his assistant coaches and with the boys being in the academy. It's with COVID there was a year or two where our EPD pathway was a bit stuttered in terms of actually getting access to the players because they weren't Craven weeks. We struggled to have under 17 camps and stuff like that. And to have, I think it's 2 years in a row that we're going to have the Junior World Cup here in South Africa. So, the first game I don't think that was that convincing, but it's always tough when you play your first team, and Georgia is always a scrappy, grinding out game. But we know those players actually really well, and they've been on our radar since under 15, under 16. And even when we do pony players, we get the input of Bafana, of Rikun, of Herman Masimla. So we follow it closely, and I think it is Italy next. We're certainly watching all those games and seeing who's future Springboks who can slot in. If you look at a guy like Kane, and some of those boys are not far away from playing. I saw a picture of Salman Murad doing the jersey presentation. The 2 guys next to him was actually bigger than him. So those boys quickly grow up and become Springboks.
Bongi, just again on the sort of 4 years later, how are you guys dealing with the weight of sort of expectation now from the South African public? As compared to 4 years ago when people weren't quite as sure, and now you're going to World Cup or into Rugby Championship and the World Cup as obviously world champions, having won the Rugby Championship and the World Cup in the same year. How are you guys as players dealing with that?
Yeah, I think especially with South African fans, it's not just they just don't put expectations on you in the World Cup year. It's every single game you play, you do feel expectations. But I mean, as Coach Rassi used to say always, we don't see us playing for the Springboks as pressure. We see it as an honour and a privilege. I think the pressure is just being a normal South African citizen from day to day. That is pressure. So when we got there, we do feel nervous, but excited also, and we see it as a massive honour and a privilege. Yeah, but we know the expectations that the fans put on top of us, especially you guys in this room. But but we do love it. We do love it. We do enjoy it, and I mean, honestly, I'd say I'd rather have expectations put on me and not have any expectations, which will make life very boring. But we do enjoy it, and we're looking forward to what they have in store for us.
Again, to the coaches, briefly discussed now the Australian squad that's coming to South Africa. So my question relates to, you played against Eddie Jones's England. Now you're going to play again against Eddie Jones's Australia. Is there a difference in how he approaches his tactics and his game plan? Are you expecting something different from him when as previously when he played against England?
Would you mind if I answer that?
Yeah, go, fine.
Because in 2007 Eddie was part of the Springboks, and I was part of the first 3-4 weeks in 2007 before I took up the Stormers job, and then Eddie took over for me with the Springboks before they flew. So the thing about Eddie is he knows South Africans well. He took the England job. I think he's consulted rugby league teams at some stage. I know he's definitely a guy that always broadens his coaching vision. But I think the big trick is he's Australian. I know he's coached in Japan, he's been a consultant there and in the USA and everywhere. But I always feel as a South African working with South Africans will get the best out of South Africans. And I always feel Australian working with Australians will get the best out of Australians, because you just know how that nation works. I had a stint at Munster, myself and Jock, and it took us a few months before we actually fully understood how do they think, how do they operate, or what is important, what is not important for them. I think the big thing with Eddie with Australia is he knows the setup, he's been there, he's been close with them, and he wouldn't struggle to slot in. I think the interesting thing would be, what I was trying to work out is all the assistant coaches, where all of them has coached the last couple of years, because surely those coaches will bring in, I see there's a maul expert, I see there's a scrum coach, there's a line-out coach, there's a learning coach, there's a backline coach, those kind of things. So I think where those guys come from, and now they bring their flavour to the party, because I know Eddie works hard, Eddie drives standards, and I think those coaches will be interesting how they get to make that Australian team play. So we're not really sure.
Okay.
Bongi, talking about Eddie Jones and his notorious mind games. Now, I know if I ask Rassie or Jacques, they'll say, no, we're not going to react to them at all. We don't want to think about them. You know, it's not something we talk about. But for you as players, especially in a World Cup year, those mind games are only going to get more and more the closer we get to the tournament. How do you guys handle those mind games?
Personally, I tend not to try and detain it, but I know it's going to be everywhere in the media. Even if you try to avoid it, you are going to hear about it somewhere. But I think personally, or even players that I know very well, we hardly entertain it. We're more focused on making sure that we make every day count at training, make sure that we know all our roles and know the plan. And once you got there, it's just up to each and every player executing his job on the day. But the mind games, I think in every sport, I'm a big fan of NFL, and you obviously what goes on there, they actually take it to another level, but I try not to entertain it that much.
Can I say on that mind games thing, I hope it did not come out the wrong way when I said it previously. I actually admire it in a bit in the way that I think actually always has a plan, and I think he's openly said it, that it's got actually somebody. I don't think it's always a matter of Eddie trying to disrupt the opposition. I think sometimes he tries to get to his own team and to get them to understand how people see his team. I think he said it openly. I listened to a talk of him once. So I'm not saying the mind games in a negative way at all. I'm saying I think he's really good at doing it for his own team and maybe the opposition a little bit. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's actually entertaining for sport.
Bongi, ka Sesotho.
Yes.
Wena jwalo ka sebapadi o le one, o mo kae in terms of go itukisetsa for rugby championship, and also le expectile eng from Australia and the rest of the teams ka rugby championship?
Ha ke le sebapadi ke le one, ke a tseba hore mosebetsi o mongata o entseng because before camp the past 3 weeks ne ke sebetsa ka thata ka the lineman camp tse ke nang tsona ko Durban le ko Cape Town, Ja, nak sebetsa katata before squad se baskana, mara hona tjena squad se felletse, dipapadi kaofela di teng, le di-coach kaofela di felletse, so kgona sebetsa ka thata, re kgona ba focus to ba Australia, because ke yona game ya pele for a rugby championship. Yeah, so no, re focus fela ho game ya pele, re sebetsa ka thata, re tsebo hore motho mo mong o tswa mosebetsi wa hae, and then test week a fitla, if we kgethuwa, if ke sa kgethuwe, ke tsebo hore team yona e re dlo dlala.
Last English question, then we'll move on to Afrikaans and Sotho, please.
Jacques, how much have you guys taken out of the last year's rugby championship games against Australia? Obviously, both were played down under. First one was a bit of a disaster. Second one was much better. You got a good win there for the first time in a long time. So, how much are you taking out of that?
No, we'll definitely take. It's the majority, or I think the big majority, will be the same players. So obviously. Individually we can take a lot out of it in terms of the players that will participate or play against us. From a tactical and technical point of view, like Rassi mentioned and like we've mentioned in the past, we're not sure. But the nice thing for us in terms of that is that we just have to focus on ourselves, because we're not sure what's coming from a technical and tactical point of view from them. But then we will have to find solutions on the field. So obviously we will have a look at what they did against us, compare that with what they did when they played in the 2022 incoming tours over July, and then also compared what they did at the end of year tour. In saying all of that, you can have a look at it and see, listen, were they trying to go to, or where did they try and move to in terms of how they play and what they're trying to do. But again, the big block there is, how much will Eddie adopt from that, or how much will he buy into that, or will he just start fresh? But we will be loaded if they do continue with the same path. But if they change, we will have to find solutions in the game.
Russ, just in Afrikaans, just the injury update.
Ja, die beserings is, ek dink die nie slegte nuus wat nie korttermyn opgelos gaan word is aan die Pollard. Ons dink nie hy gaan in die rugby kampioenskap kan speel, en ek praat van die eerste 3 games, die rugby kampioenskap games. So kyk meer na die Argentinië, Wallis, Nieu-Seeland games om hom terug te kry, baie so Sia. En dan al die ander ouens, Jaden lyk goed, of hy kan in die mix wees ergens in die rugby championship. Damien is gekleer, Damien Willemse, en bly die een vergeet. Eben sal definitief ook. Ek dink by die Nieu-Seeland game behoort Eben ook in die mix te wees.
Dankie Rassie. Vir jou hierdie vraag van Afrikaans. 2019 wêreldkampioene, dis die eerste wêreld rugby beker wat julle verdedig, maar ook is die druk daar vir die rugby kampioenskap. Ouens word ouer, ouens is ouer as 2019. Hoe bestuur julle dit? Hoe bestuur julle daai hele pakket? Met die verwagting ook? Ja,
kyk, sonder twyfel is ons 'n span wat verwagting voel. Maar Bongie het dit so raak opgesom toe hy net geantwoord het en gesê het, ek dink die oomblik wat jy dit draai in 'n voorreg, dan waardeer hy amper die verwagting en ek dink baie mense dink soos verlede jaar toe ons teen Nieu-Seeland die eerste game waar gewen het en toe die tweede game op Ellis Park verloor het. Baie mense dink dit is 'n verwagting ding geweest, maar ons het baie van daai goeders gedoen om voor te berei vir hierdie wêreldbeker, vir die tipe druk wat ons gaan kry en hoe ons dit geoefen het om te probeer hanteer, en ons het baie geleer uit daai tweede game teen Nieu-Seeland op Ellis Park. So ja, dis spelers wat 4 jaar ouer is. Ek dink daar is so 5 manne wat nie in 2019 nie was nie, en dan is daar so 11, 12 nuwe manne in die mix. So ja, dit is, soos hy het genoem, dit is eintlik 100% reg. As die mense verwagting het en die mense lewer kommentaar, negatief of positief, maak nie saak nie, dit beteken hulle stel belang. En dis wat ons wil hê. So ja, ons verwag dit, en ek dink ons sal dit op ons heel beste manier hanteer, want dit is 'n voorreg.
Volg net vir Jacques. Jacques, as jy dalk daaroor gepraat het, verskoon die vraag, toe Elton geland het, het jy 'n aankondiging gemaak dat jy nog nie, of waarskynlik nie, vir Elton sal kies in die span wat teen Australië sal speel. As ek jou reg quoteer daar. Elton het in die D2 vlak in die tweede liga in Frankryk gespeel. Is dit waarom jy bietjie onseker is oor sy spel op hierdie stadium? Wil jy hom eers 'n geleentheid gee? Brei asseblief 'n bietjie uit daaroor.
Nee, ek dink met Elton, ek dink Rassie dit nou, ek kan nie onthou dat ons gesê het ons sal hom nie kies nie. Ons is nie 100% seker nie, maar ons is nie seker van ons beserings nie. So as daar nie nog 'n 10 beskikbaar was nie, dan sal ons definitief vir Elton kies. Maar ons het gesê wel Elton in die kan ek maar sê die roadmaps wat ons gedoen het, is hy ons vierde keuse nommer 10 gewees. Of as ons hom in 'n pecking order moet insit. Maar nee, wat dit maklik maak vir ons met 'n ou soos Elton, wat al speel hy in Pro D2, omdat 'n ou hom so baie gecoach het, ken 'n ou jy ken vir Elton, jy weet wat hy kan doen, jy het lank met hom gewerk. Dieselfde met 'n ou soos Franco Moster. Jy weet Franco Moster speel ook het in die tweede divisie gespeel van Japan en hy het hulle nou actually gehelp om hulle het nou gekwalifiseer vir die top league van Japan. So, maar omdat jy die ou ken, is dit maklik want jy weet wat hy kan doen. Jy kan sy spel oordeel al speel hy in 'n swakker liga. Ja.
Ja, en kan ek net daarby aanheg, soos dis baie maklik om 'n ou soos Flav toe te skuif. Maar dis in 'n noodsituasie. Ek dink dit sal nie goed wees as hulle in 'n Springbokspan gaan en jy sê luister hierso, maar ons nommer 9 is ons backup nommer 10 en 'n Springbokspan wat die wêreldbeker wil wen. En deur elke idee soos ons genoem het is Andrei kan daai kyk rustig reg kry. Damien is nou oor sy besering en daarom dit was maar altyd is Damien reg vir die eerste game of nie. Soos jy kan aflei gaan Damien betrokke wees in die eerste game en Mani is 100% reg nou en Andrei kan stadig en seker maak hy kyk van hom kom reg en ons hoef nie nou nommer 9 is op nommer 10 te oefen in my klas van my.
Last question, guys in Afrikaans.
Bongie, hoe wil die spelers different en verwachting van de fans?
You asking me in Afrikaans?
Bethlehem, kom ons.
I guess wat Bethlehem, maar hoe laat is dit nou? Yes, ek dink my Afrikaans bandels is bietjie op, so ek sal nie reg antwoord in Afrikaans nie.
Okay, Coach, what your expectations from Australia, obviously?
In Afrikaans?
Ja, in Afrikaans.
Ja, kyk, Eddie is 'n uitgeslaapte afrigter en ek verwag 'n goed voorbereide span van Eddie af. En ja, nie 100% seker wat se tipe styl Australië gaan bring nie. Ou weet nie of hulle gaan hoeveel hulle gaan voortgaan met dit wat hulle gebou het deur 2022 onder Dave Rennie nie en hoeveel hy heeltemal gaan verander vanaf hy oorgeneem het nie. So ek dink vir ons die voordeel daarvan vir 'n wêreldbeker is so half ons sal moet oplossings vind in die wedstryd. So ons sal voorberei, 100% voorberei op dit wat ons seker of seker van is wat hulle gedoen het in die verlede, maar ook weet dat luister dit kan drasties verander en ons sal dan maar net met oplossings kry gedurende die wedstryd.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Dankie.